Why, hello there. Today we are going to talk about a book that is wonderfully descriptive. It's written so vibrantly picturesque. It's very visual. It's just very brilliantly written. And that book is Pan by Michael Clune. And it focuses around the subject matter of this one teenager named Nick and panic attacks. And so Pan, the old god Pan of the wild, of the forest and such, you may notice that the word panic is somewhat derived from Pan. And so that connection is made throughout the book. And while the story I thought was all right, it focuses on this teenager, the first time he has a panic attack and what he thinks is happening. He has one and it's kind of weird. And then his third one, he thinks he's having a heart attack. And then finally he goes to a doctor. His dad takes him to one and he gets diagnosed. And you follow the story of him having this one friend, and then they end up with this group of friends where they hang out at this barn. And then that's most of their life. They go there, they have strange conversations, and he stays sober. There's a lot of drugs and stuff going on in his friend group and whatnot, but it kind of is his life and how he moves through it while experiencing these panic attacks. And at some point, he does stop having them, but it never really goes away, and he still has this general anxiety and just kind of what happens in the life of a teenager when this is going on, and just him trying to not lose his frickin' mind and feel like he's coming out of his body, and how to function somewhat normally in this. And the story was decent. I didn't feel one way or another oh my god, it was amazing, or this, that, and the other, but I thought it was good and solid. But where this book really shines is in the descriptions. The descriptions were just immersive, and I really liked getting lost in reading these descriptions. And that, to me, was my favorite part of experiencing this book, because it was kind of an experience with just how, I've never had a panic attack, so I don't know how that affects someone. And if it's anything near what was being described in this book, I don't even know how I would handle something like that. It's pretty intense. Just such a strange and unusual book. And then it ties into, too, with the old god Pan, and you have these interesting, almost somewhat off in the clouds, weird philosophical conversations that these teenagers would get into, and just the different dynamic with the friend group and all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my brain around how to recommend it. It's not something I recommend for the story. The story's there, but it plays second fiddle to the descriptiveness and the lusciousness of the descriptiveness of that. And so if you like a book that has descriptions that you can lose yourself in, that you're just these are fantastic, and maybe it's almost poetic to a point. It's not really poetry, but just the way it's written, you really see it visually. And for me, that's fantastic. When I read a book, I experience things different in each book. And that's why each book is a different experience. And that's, with reading different genres, you experience things differently. With reading the way things are written by different authors, you experience it differently. Some books I can't put down because the story is so good and gripping. I want to read more. Some books, like this one, the descriptions are just it's that saying of how it's not the destination, it's the journey. And that's what I feel like in this book, Pan. It was the journey and the words and the experience of that. And then it ties in with the story. And like I said, the story's all right. If that sounds interesting to you, check it out. If the subject of panic attacks, especially in a teenager, is something of interest to you, then this book might also be interesting. I would say it's not a book for everyone. It is really strange and weird and kind of out there, and I like that. I like weird books that are, I don't know, somewhere off in left field, that maybe sort of makes sense but not completely. It's out there, but it's also still tethered to the earth through the experience of this guy Nick and his friends. They do get into some weird stuff with some weird ritual stuff, and then the kids hanging out at the barn are all doing different drugs and smoking pot and doing ecstasy and different stuff. And Nick doesn't take that because his brain probably couldn't handle it. So he stays sober. And this other guy, Ian, doesn't seem to take drugs, but maybe he did in the past. And his mind seems a little bit kind of like how Nick's is, but I don't think Ian ever had the panic attacks like Nick did. In the beginning, it's just him trying to figure out what is causing these panic attacks. And then at first he kind of thinks it's something inside of him that's trying to come out to like when he has him, he feels like he's gonna leave his body. But as he goes through his life and he gets a little older and starts to talk to some other people, he realizes it might be more stuff surrounding his life and his situation and where he's at. Like he lives with his dad, his parents are divorced, and just stuff he's gone through that may have brought these panic attacks to the surface, and like how it gets into that. And just overall, it is a very interesting and weird book. And if any of that sounds intriguing to you, you might just enjoy this book. So, Pan by Michael Clune, check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.